Also, it should be noted that many rock stars also die when they come out of certain programmings. People wonder why so many of them are killed at such a young age, and why there's so much controversy around their deaths is because their deaths were purposely caused. And the reason why they were purposely caused is because when a person reaches a certain age, or when they reach a certain level of understanding, sometimes they start to try to break out of their programming. They basically start to become their own persons. And so some of these persons who slowly began to turn, and you have guys like Brian Jones and Mama Case and Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, and many, many, many more. And the causes of their deaths were often seen as overdoses or suicides or something like that. But then autopsies and the reports show that they never died the way that the media says that they did, showing us that there was foul play in their deaths. And so Jimi Hendrix said that he didn't want to take the drugs that he was famously known to take, but was actually forced to do so by his manager. And so he became addicted to drugs, and drugs are heavily used in mind control. And it seems like a common denominator that the artists are controlled and programmed by their managers, and drugs are a very important tool in Illuminati mind control, because heroin, LSD, cocaine, these drugs have a very powerful effect on the brain, almost to a point where it nullifies the brain, and acid can take people to different levels of demonic trips. And so Jimi Hendrix was somebody by nature, wasn't into drugs. Jimi Hendrix, who was also an Illuminati relative, coming out of the army and everything, was definitely picked by that Illuminati family to initialize in this type of lifestyle. And so Hendrix basically was, you can go back to doing what you were doing as a black man in America, or you can take these drugs and get mind controlled and get on this program. And so that's what he did. But he didn't like the overview of it and tried to get out of it, and he was then killed. And into which a lot of people, if you read that Jimi Hendrix died of some type of cocaine overdose of some sort. Well, I want you to know that when his body was found, he had 2 gallons of wine stuck in his lungs and stomach. And so what happened is that the autopsy showed that somebody forced this wine down his throat, into which that is what actually killed him. Jim Morrison left the Doors and moved to France, into which it was stated that he was trying to escape from the insanity around him. But the Illuminati followed him there, and it was said that they had him eliminated. And Jim Morrison was valuable as an Illuminati slave, but when he turned and wanted to do things his own way, he became an expendency or a threat to them. And it seems like Jim Morrison had withdrawn from his band on the top of his career to the dislike of his superiors, who were the Illuminati. And so he was ritually murdered so he can live on as a myth. And it was said that they used his girlfriend at the time to kill him, into which at the time she was also addicted to heroin as well. And it was said that she was the one suspected of killing him by giving Jim more heroin than he was supposed to have while he was in his tub. And so Bob Dylan, one of our most admired song composers and poets, actually admitted to selling his soul to Satan when he got caught up in an interview. And so these are just few cases of many cases of how the Illuminati are connected to these artists. And so these musicians, after a while, when they start to develop a brain of their own, they become dangerous to the Illuminati, and so they're therefore killed. And so if they don't serve the purposes that they're originally mind controlled for, they become useless to them. And when they become useless to them, they become potentially dangerous because they'll reveal too many secrets that the people don't want knowing. This is also, by the way, how NASA works. Their computer programs are so extremely advanced and difficult to learn that many times the secrets that are involved in these things require mind control and total slavery to those institutions if you're going to be privy to those type of things. And so this is the same reason why people in the space program get killed, because they know too much. And so this is also very much why we lose artists in this world, because very talented men and women have come about, but have been used by the industry, and when they're not usable anymore, they're then discarded and thrown away. So the programmers use them all the time, and they use them within the arts, military, and science. And another typical thing, which is related to fine arts, anything that's involved in that, they purposely try to get a hold on that. And so this is kind of what we often see with them. And yeah.